Oh, you're so sweet, I swear. Te mando un besito.
All right, we're on. Disco Acid Cult TV. I didn't even realize how long it's been. The last live stream we did here was for Sydney Sweeney's Jeans during the American Eagle Outrage cycle, which did last a long time. There are still little bits of Sydney Sweeney going around on the internet. I know she did a Baskin Robbins commercial, I think, too. That either came out before the Jeans commercial or right after it, but it kind of got swept under the rug of the American Eagle commercials. I feel bad for Baskin Robbins. That's a great pairing, though, right there. Sydney Sweeney and Baskin Robbins. That's a perfect pairing if I've ever seen one. I mean, ice cream and a hot blonde chick with big tits. We never even make it like 5 minutes into the stream without talking about hot blonde chicks with big tits. That is a constant theme of the channel. But that's how you should know that you are in good hands. Here on Disco Acid Cult TV, we value the important things in life. Traditional American values, like hot blonde chicks with big tits. Doesn't get any better than that. That's what our culture was built on. I really only have one topic today. Probably going to be a fairly uneventful stream. There's not been a lot going on. That's kind of the trouble with doing a live show every week talking about pop culture, which I guess sounds like a cop-out. I mean, there are channels that do streams every day that talk about pop culture, and they manage to do just fine. But even then, a lot of the things they talk about, I'm just like, oh, it's not very interesting, you know? What's up, Protomax? Yeah, no, it's hard. I picked a bad consistent topic to cover, considering that I'm like not interested in anything that happens in the world today. So I guess luckily today I found an old topic. But before I even get to that, I always rant for a minute about something that I've watched. I watched The Great Gatsby like 2 nights ago, the 2013 version, the Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire version. And I forgot what a cool movie that was. What a cool movie. I also forgot how like different from the book it is. Not to sound like a nerd. That's like a real nerd complaint to talk about on YouTube, how the movies are also different from the book. But the 2013 movie is like a completely romantic version. Like none of the characters are as bad as they are in the book, except for Tom Buchanan. Tom Buchanan, no matter what, is going to be a kind of a bad character that nobody's going to like. But yeah, in the book, obviously they're all pretty shitty people. And yeah, in the 2013 movie, they're really not. They're really not shitty people at all. They have flaws. They have their flaws for sure, of course, but nothing, nothing too treacherous, I would say. Yeah, Tobey Maguire is cool. I think I've only ever even really seen him in the Spider-Man movies and The Great Gatsby, now that I think about it. But he is the Spider-Man. I know that's like a generational argument at this point, but yeah, he is the Spider-Man to me. I don't think I've ever even seen the Tom Holland movies. I should. I've been interested in watching that one with all 3 Spider-Mans in it, just because, of course, who doesn't want to see that? But I feel like in order to watch that, I'm going to have to watch the 2 before it to actually watch that. Oh yeah, Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is cool. I don't care what anybody says. Spider-Man 3 was cool. I liked that movie. I thought it was good. Obviously, yeah, if you're going to be comparing all 3, no, it's not as good as 1 or 2, but it's still good. I liked it. I enjoyed it just perfectly fine. Some people really hate on that movie. Like it's, some people would swear it's like one of the worst pieces of shit they've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And that's crazy to say that, it had its issues. They just, the typical complaint is they just try to cram too much into one movie. That's really all it is. Which I learned, of course, as of like the last few years, watching more movie stuff on YouTube. I learned that Sam Raimi wanted to do I think he just wanted to do the Sandman character, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. I don't actually know what his name is in the movie. But it was the studio. The studio are the ones that said, "No, we want Venom in the movie." So that's why Venom, funnily enough, Eric Foreman from that '70s show, that's why Venom got stuck in Spider-Man 3, because the studios demanded that he be put in there. Yeah, 1 is, of course, the best. I remember when I got old enough to learn that Sam Raimi was the guy that made the first Evil Dead movie, and thinking that was hilarious that you go from the Evil Dead in 1981 to Spider-Man in the early 2000s. Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought his name was Sandman. I just didn't I thought that sounded too generic, so I wanted to make sure I was correct. Yeah, no, Sam Raimi just wanted to do Sandman, apparently. He might have even wanted to do a whole different villain entirely, but, it was the studio. It's always studio interference with movies. Yeah, I remember hearing about how there was supposed to be a 4. There was supposed to be a 4, but we didn't make it. I like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans too, I can't lie. I like those 2 a lot, actually. I think he also got too much hate. I think, I mean, Gwen Stacy dying in the second one, that's like peak cinema. That shit touches my heart every time I see it when he accidentally I guess I wouldn't say he accidentally kills Gwen Stacy, but, he doesn't help her live either. I love watching stuff about Mary Jane in the first 3 Spider-Man movies. Part of getting older is definitely learning that Mary Jane is a completely shitty person. Like, she's a terrible person, an absolutely terrible person. I just saw a clip the other day, actually. I might be able to find it. I probably won't. It's on my Instagram somewhere. About how Mary Jane is like a total narcissist. He talks about how oh yeah, I'm not even logged in on my Instagram. He talks about how in the beginning of the first Spider-Man, she's dating the popular jock, and then she goes from him to dating Harry, who's like a fucking millionaire playboy. And then she goes to dating, she cheats on Harry with Spider-Man. And then she at one point dates that astronaut guy, like, basically she's like a social climber. There were all comments on the post joking, "Oh, so she's just an average woman?" That's what you're saying? But she's a terrible person. I mean, there's the whole deal with her basically getting jealous, whatever it was, when Peter Parker's being Spider-Man, and she's like, "You're not paying enough attention to me." Like, "Oh, yeah, my bad. I'm just out saving the fucking world. My bad that I can't dedicate 24 hours a day to you to go watch your shitty fucking plays. My bad. Sorry, I'm saving the world so that you have a world to pursue your career of, acting in or whatever." Yeah, she's a terrible person. Oh, you know what's funny about that is I was also just rewatching, there's some videos on YouTube about, Regular Show, and because I remember when I was a kid, I always liked Margaret and Mordecai. I noticed whenever it comes to, like, shipping and shit like that in shows, I always like the characters who are together first. Like, I'm a big believer in, like, the first so I always liked Mordecai and Margaret, whereas I guess it's now a lot of people like CJ a lot better. They say CJ was the better option. I liked Margaret, but yeah, I'm always a proponent of the couples who are together first, or I straight up like the tumultuous. I hate to say the word toxic, but that's usually the couples that I'm into in these movies. Everyone always yeah, they like CJ. And, like, in Victorious, I was always totally cool with Beck and Jade, whereas everybody's like, "Oh, no, Jade should have got or they should have broke up. Jade was terrible. Beck should have gotten with Tori." No, Beck and Jade were perfectly fine. I always liked Kelso and Jackie together. Everyone likes Hyde and Jackie in that '70s show. They say he was better for her. I liked Kelso and Jackie. That was my preferred. That was my preferred one. Yeah, Regular Show's a good rabbit hole to go down. There's a lot to that show. I liked that show a lot. That was, like, one of the greatest cartoons of all time. Yeah, Margaret is yeah, I know she, like, goes away to college at some point, and One of the videos I saw on her was basically just saying that she doesn't even actually have a personality outside of, like, she works at the coffee shop and she goes to college. She's just kind of a very basic girl. I remember Mordecai being very annoying with the way that, like, there was nothing really ever stopping him from getting with Margaret except for himself, just kinda freaking himself out about that stuff, which I know happens in real life, but watching it play out in a cartoon, it's kinda like the same. Actually, it's not. I was gonna say it's kinda like the same suspense of 16 Candles with, with Sam and Jake Ryan, when really the whole movie, they coulda just gone out, they coulda just started going out right away, but because of, like, weird, awkward high school teenage drama shit, they just can't seem to make it work. But watching it in cartoon form is annoying. There's not really any suspense. It's like, "Bro, Mordecai, just go fucking handle this shit." And Margaret, like, quit going away to fucking college and being difficult about shit. Yeah, that's also a great show. I should get that series at some point. But I'm not good with series. I have a lot of, full series of things on DVD that I haven't even gotten into yet that I need to. I prefer movies. I still just like movies. If I can watch the whole story in one sitting, that's, like, my preferred method. I should start pulling up a few of these videos about what I was gonna talk about, I guess. Actually, I don't even have any set videos. I just had a couple that I thought were funny. So, I hate these old videos that are so quiet. I was watching Alright, the only topic I really have specifically that if I go on long enough about, I can cut for a video. I was watching There's this great documentary series. It's 3 parts. It's called In Search of Darkness, and it's all about horror movies in the '80s. Any horror fan knows that the true decade for horror fans is the '80s. Anybody who wants to get into horror films or slasher films, you go to the '80s. And in this documentary series, it's 3 parts. They're all 3 separate documentaries, but they came out at separate times. There's obviously part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 is like 3 to 4 hours, part 2 is like 4 hours, and part 3 is somewhere between 4 and 5 hours. They're very long. They're like the greatest. I basically watch them all the time. Like, if I don't know what to watch or if I'm just trying to fall asleep to something or I'm just kinda hanging out, I'll put on either of these 3 documentaries. They just go in segments. They mostly talk about the movies, but there are segments where they talk about, like, certain things. Like, in part 1, they talk about, like, or I think in part 2, they talk about the influences of all the directors in the '80s, and they talk about the times, and they talk about certain actors. So in part 3, there's a specific part where they talk about, like, the politics and kind of the culture, I guess, the politics and the social issues going around in the '80s when all these horror movies were being made. And all the actors and the directors and writers and people involved in the horror world, they're talking about in the '80s how you had all the Republicans, the Ronald Reagan Republicans and the conservatives coming after things like rock and roll, which I'm always into rock and roll, but I've been into '80s rock and roll a lot specifically recently. And they talk a lot about how, all these politicians and concerned parents were coming after them in the '80s. So they basically spend like this 20-minute segment ripping on, like, basically just the '80s in general, and they talk about how, oh, it was so oppressive, which I can't even lie. I have a hard time believing that the '80s were an oppressive time. I understand that that's kind of the mindset nowadays, where if there was like a president that you don't like, you say it was oppressive. I know obviously no decade is perfect. No time has ever been perfect, especially today. But I have a hard time using the word oppressive to describe the 1980s, especially when in the very next segment, like, you watch any documentary about the '80s and people are talking about rampant cocaine and girls with their tits out and groupies. Like, I'm sorry, bro. You're not going to convince me that the 80s were like this horribly oppressive time. But anyways, they're talking about that, and it was kind of, I noticed it was kind of funny how sandwiched, that is one like 15 to 20-minute segment sandwiched in between the rest of this documentary where they're talking about how the 80s was this incredible and creative time, this blossoming time for creativity in the world of horror movies and movies in general. Like I've said, I think the 80s was like the peak of American creativity. And then I started thinking, well, what if the things that they claim were oppressive really contributed to the art? So that's when I started thinking about, like, I guess, like the yin and yang, like I said earlier, of like conservative moral outrage. One of the people in the documentary even points out, he was saying, one of the big accomplishments of the PMRC was the introduction of the parental advisory sticker. And then pretty soon after that, they found that albums with the parental advisory sticker were selling better than the albums that didn't have them. Which, even when I was a kid in like the early 2000s, I remember when you saw that sticker, you were like, "Oh, this is a good album." Like, that's how you knew what the cool albums were, was if they had the parental advisory sticker. So then I was like, "Oh yeah, I think when there is that like Christian conservative moral outrage about things, it really adds to the kind of iconic factor of things. It kind of blows things up." There's even a part where Linnea Quigley talks about, she was in Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is one of the greatest Christmas themed slashers of all time. Great film in general. And when that movie came out, there was a big outrage from conservatives and Christian moms because they didn't like the idea of Santa Claus being a killer, because to them, Santa Claus was this thing for kids. Christmas time was a time of joy or whatever the fuck. So they pulled that movie out of theaters. That movie got pulled out of theaters because of conservative, like, moral outrage. But then it became one of the most, like, kids were going to school talking about, like, "Dude, have you guys heard of this fucking movie? They pulled it out of theaters. Like, we have to see this shit." It kind of adds to the mystique of it. And then I was thinking about how today that would never happen. Today there basically is no conservative moral outrage. I think conservatives really have no power in the world of pop culture. And I think we're realizing, or I'm realizing, I think that is kind of hurting things. There's no line, right? There's no line. Conservatives and conservatism act as the line that like edgy art presses up against. So when there's no line, nothing is edgy anymore. Nothing is cool anymore. I mean, you have. I always point out, you got Sam Smith dressed up as like a fat devil chick on the stage at some award show, and it was fucking tacky. It was fucking cheesy. It looked stupid. He looks fucking retarded. Nobody cares. Of course, Ben Shapiro talked about it the next day. Like, that was pretty much the most that came out of it, was Ben Shapiro talked about it on his YouTube channel. But American pop culture basically scoffs at that now. When Ben Shapiro makes an hour-long video critiquing the Barbie movie, and it's just kind of a joke. It's just kind of scoffed at. And I'm not saying that everybody should take Ben Shapiro seriously. That's the thing, is I really don't have an answer for this, is the main thing. Like, I'm not saying anybody should take Ben Shapiro seriously when he rants about the Barbie movie for an hour. But I just think it's worth noting that back in the 80s, when conservatives had some kind of pull in pop culture, we actually had edgy material. We actually had art that was cool, and it had mystique around it, and kids wanted to buy these albums and see these fucking movies. Nowadays, it's fucking Sam Smith dressed up like a fat devil lady in the Barbie movie, and both of those things were fucking tacky. Nobody, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I also feel like there's just a general, like, we've kind of gone too far. I definitely think it's like a toothpaste situation. Once it's out of the tube, you can't put it back. We've just gone too far. Nowadays, everybody's naked. Everybody's dressing up like the devil. Everybody, there's just nothing anymore. There's nothing that's going to be shocking anymore. Yeah, we were definitely desensitized to everything. I think the last example we really have of anything being edgy, I still always point to Marilyn Manson. I still think Marilyn Manson is the last time we really had a cool rock star. There's just nothing else anymore. But I don't know, like I said, I don't know, like, what my answer would be to this, because, like I said, it's not like I'm saying we should all start taking Ben Shapiro criticisms of movies seriously. That's not what I would advocate for. See, I don't even know. I don't even actually have a solution to my own to my what I consider a problem. I do think conservatives should have at least some pull, right? They should have some power, whether you like them or not. I'm not a fucking conservative, but I can at least acknowledge that both sides should have, like I said, a push and a pull. That there needs to be a line to push against, but I think the line has just kind of been blown up too far now. It's just, yeah, it's over. Like the line is just, it's too much. There's no going back. We can't go back. You've already seen ass all over Instagram. You've already seen Sam Smith dressed up as a fat devil chick. You've already seen girls are selling bathwater on the internet. Yeah, it's almost like edgy art is just kind of it's just a dead art form. And then I have this other kind of a theory that I don't necessarily know where I'd go with it. But I think the sides, people always talk about how the sides have switched when it comes to like politics and social issues. They always say Democrats and Republicans have kind of switched. Like Democrats used to be the KKK party. I think they've also switched in terms of like who's calling for censorship and who wants more freedoms. And I think that's why things are so weird and awkward now. Like historically, it's always been the left produces really good art, and then conservatives and the right, moral outrage about it and they freak out about things. But I think they've switched, and I think they're not used to where they are now. They have not found their footing. Like they're kind of like stumbling around in the dark because they're in new territory. So that's why you get goofy shit like the left attacking a Sydney Sweeney American Eagle commercial. Like that's what you're wasting your energy on. That's what you're wasting your time on. Like they have not found their footing as the party that calls for censorship and you know, commits moral outrage in the media. So they're kind of awkwardly like they don't know what target. They're not used to this yet. And then on the same token, Republicans are not good artists. At least not yet. I don't know, maybe they will be eventually if this trend kind of keeps going. They're still shitty at making movies that are actually just good. And they're still shitty at making art in general. Like, there's still no, I mean, that Forrest Frank guy, that fucking Christian rapper guy, that like that's what we're getting. There's that like Angel Studios movie company that made I don't even know what the fuck they made. I just know there's a studio called Angel Studios that makes like conservative valued films. I mean, the Daily Wire tried to get into like the movie business and that was a complete fucking failure. It's so I do think that is also something that's going on, is that who is outraged about things morally and who is calling for censorship more often than not. It is definitely people on the left now that are the ones that are calling for censorship when it comes to certain pieces of art. But like I said, they don't really know what they're doing because this is totally new territory for them. They're not used to this. So they're going after silly things like jeans commercials. It's kind of like they need somebody to like aim them in the right direction. Like, no, that's not you don't worry about the jeans commercials. Like you have other things that you can be spending your time on. And then with Republicans, it's like, okay, no, you guys just are not used to being artists yet. And who knows, maybe they never will. Maybe at some point everything switches back to normal a little bit. I don't know. I have no idea. But I definitely think that there needs to be a push and pull when it comes to art. specifically edgy kind of art, you know, that pushes boundaries. But then at the same time, yeah, I don't know. There might not be a line to push against anymore. I was looking up old Satanic Panic videos, and this is one I was looking at earlier, and then I thought, well, no, I'll wait until I'm on here.
This shopping mall in affluent
I can see it's so fucking quiet.
Westchester County, New York, exemplifies how easy it is for children, or adults for that matter, to get their hands on satanic material. We stress it's perfectly legal, and these are typical commercial outlets you'll find just about anywhere.
One of the things I will say when it comes to the 1980s and like the whole Satanic Panic thing, and I haven't looked into this too much recently, like as far as deep diving into this whole movement that was going on back then, but from what I've seen, it does seem like for the most part their goal was mostly just making it so that kids can't get this stuff. That seemed to be mostly their goal, was they didn't want kids getting these movies and these albums, right? Whereas today, when people call for censorship type deals, they just want it gone completely, right? That is a trend that I noticed today. They just want it gone. They just don't want it ever being made. They want people losing their jobs. They don't want these things even being produced. Whereas back in the 80s, it does seem like most of the time they were just saying, you know, we want this not getting into the hands of kids. You know, I guess if you're in your fucking 20s, if you're an adult and you want to go buy a fucking rated R horror movie, whatever, have fun. I do think they got a little bit farther into it when they tried to start talking about how these things are like to blame for people committing acts of violence. That seems to be more of a 90s thing, I think. Obviously, it was still, you know, people were still saying that shit in the 80s too, but especially in the 90s, that's when they started talking about like, oh, stuff is making people commit violence, like Grand Theft Auto and like horror movies and shit. But yeah, I do think in the 80s it was mostly about just making sure kids can't get their hands on this stuff.
3 stores side by side, a bookstore, a music store, a videotape center, each offering seemingly harmless types of entertainment, like movies. Here at the neighborhood videotape store, take a look at the number of movies that involve Satanism. Most were popular films in their day, but even today, if one is inclined to believe in Satanism, it's a way to actually see the devil and perhaps be inspired. In The Exorcist, it is the tremendous power of the devil himself controlling a little girl's body against the will of a priest that makes the movie still one of the most popular examples of evil versus good.
Yeah, but the thing that's funny is you can tell these old guys never watched these movies because the devil is the bad guy in The Exorcist. Like, yeah, it is the devil, or it is the devil, or a demon, it's Pazuzu, whatever. But it's clearly the antagonist of the film. Like, I don't recall The Exorcist being a movie about how, like, fuck yeah, the devil wins, you know? No, it's, wow, we gotta get this fucking demon out of this kid. I think even Michael Knowles, like the nerdiest dude on the Daily Wire lineup, even he's talked about how The Exorcist is like a triumphant Catholic story. Something like that. I can't remember what it was. He talked about it after the recent Exorcist remake came out, which was fucking garbage. And I remember it was one of the few times I like watched one of these guys and was like, oh yeah, this guy's actually kind of making some sense. That is a good point. Like he was kind of down with The Exorcist, and I was like, okay, yeah. It is. It's a good versus evil story, but it's a story where good wins and is supposed to win. So yeah, that is one of the complaints that people have about the 80s Satanic Panic movement, is that a lot of these old people just didn't actually watch the movies or listen to the music. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them even admitted that at some point when they were like, you know, going to like trials for this shit and stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's not saying anything that the Bible didn't already say.
By this sign of of our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with the Father and the Holy Spirit.
It wasn't that a demon jumped out of the TV and grabbed me by the face and dragged me down the road and forced me to join the Church of Satan. It was just that there were certain things in this program that piqued my interest, and then I decided to study more on my own. And if the devil has PR, then it is, you know, cinema.
Then there's also the satanic literature, which includes many books that are sold in many bookstores. Librarians point out that they're among the most
many books that are sold in many bookstores.
popular books on their shelves. Here, as in almost any bookstore, you'll find both the Satanic Bible and its...
The Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey was a total carny, by the way. That is one of my favorite things I've learned in recent years. Nothing that guy said is to be taken seriously. Anton LaVey was basically a wannabe rock star. He was not into any of this religious stuff. He literally just wanted to be a celebrity. I mean, he like dragged people under the bus with him, like when he hung out with Marilyn Manson for a day, and then he like made Marilyn Manson an honorary priest of the Church of Satan. Even Marilyn Manson was like, what the fuck, we just hung out for a day, I don't know what this guy's talking about, like, I'm not a priest. Yeah, he literally was just like in the same way that Howard Stern always wanted to be like an A-list celebrity, Anton LaVey just always wanted to be a celebrity, and he went about it by, you know, doing like dark carnival shit. So yeah, no, if these people actually, again, read these books and got into this stuff, they, you know, they would know these things. But I do have this exact copy of the Satanic Bible. It is actually like right behind me on the floor.
Companion, the Satanic Rituals, a step-by-step guide to performing evil rites.
Kids get their ideas, especially their psychological pumping up, so to speak, from the literature. And books play an extremely important part.
And finally, music, which is found here in the neighborhood record store under the category of heavy metal music. The satanic message is clear, both in the album covers and in the lyrics, which are reaching impressionable young minds.
Oh, this is good stuff.
And the musical message comes across loud and clear at concerts and now through rock videos. The symbolism is all there. The satanic pentagram.
Even that, there's that great, like, now classic interview with Nikki Sixx and Vince Neil.
The rebellion,
where the guy's like, oh yeah, you know, shout at the devil. And Nikki Sixx is like, yeah, bro, shout at the devil. Not with the devil. Like, no one's shouting with the devil. Salem witch trials or the Satanic Panic. Dude, the Salem witch trials are hilarious because they're basically just like women that were, I don't know, probably just like depressed or like, I do think there probably was women doing weird witchy shit. I think there's always women doing weird witchy shit. That's just like a fact of life. Right? Like, where there are women, there are going to be a couple of them that get into witchy shit and want to talk about the moon and like ask you what your sign is and shit. But with the Salem witch trials, yeah, that's a super interesting time. I should get into that a little bit. I haven't looked into the Salem witch trials in fucking years. I just like the Satanic Panic because it's all about rock and roll and horror movies, which is basically what I am made of entirely.
and again, the obsession with death.
But yeah, no, there's that clip of I don't even know what to look up to find it. I should get my videos together before I start getting on stream, but you know, I don't think that far ahead. Hey, of course, they only have like 25 seconds. You can only find a clip of 25 seconds from the interview because that's helpful. That's what we need, 25-second clips. No full interviews, YouTube.
Behind this, and the reason why we put it right out here and we said, look at this. There's a pentagram. But why don't you read? When we're telling these you know, religious fanatics, read this. Shout at the devil. It doesn't say shout with the devil. It's at the devil. And that's why we put the pentagram right on the front.
And a lot of things, if you stand in the middle of it, the evil can't get into you. Right. So it's actually a good symbol.
I will say, like, Nikki Sixx's explanation makes sense, but Vince Neil has no idea what he's talking about. That is the funniest part, Vince Neil being like, yeah, you stand in the circle and it protects you. Dude, Vince Neil has said multiple times that he only ever even got into music because he wanted to bang chicks and drink alcohol. Like, this guy does not know what he's talking about when he talks about a pentagram. But it is cool that he had a good, like, he probably rehearsed this answer. You know, they had their good PR answers. And as much as Nikki Sixx will say it is shout at the devil, no, they were, of course, doing, like, satanic shit. Not real satanic shit. They were, you know, they were just looking cool. It just looks cool. Like, that's literally all it is when it comes down to the music. That's the funny thing about when they go after the music, is it's like, oh, you've never actually talked to these guys for more than 5 minutes. Like, they just think this shit looks cool. And they just want to hook up with girls. Like, they literally just want to play rock and roll, and they just want to look cool. I always hate today when, that is one thing I hate about conservatives today, especially, is they really are trying to do satanic panic stuff again. Like when Ice Spice, I talked about this fucking like last year when Ice Spice did that weird hand stuff, whatever the hand signal, hands, whatever motion at like the Super Bowl or something. And they're like, oh yeah, that's satanic. I'm like, bro, Ice Spice is retarded. Ice Spice doesn't know the first thing about rituals or Satanism. They're like, oh, Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, they drink blood. First of all, no, they don't. No, they don't. I'll bet you any money I have in my bank account that Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox have never once ever drank blood. Never a single time. They think it sounds cool. They're just saying shit. They know nothing about like real rituals and magic and anything. They know nothing. They're edgelords. It's edgelord. There should be an edgelord panic going on today. Not a satanic panic part 2. We need an edgelord panic. And if interviews were smart, they would call these people out on this shit. If I was interviewing Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, and they told me they did some ritual where they drank blood, I'd be like, I want a step-by-step. What is this ritual you did? What was the purpose of it? What were you going to gain from it? And they would have no answers because they don't know. They're just saying shit. They know they're going to get interviewed by fucking people who are just as retarded as them, who are going to eat this shit up. So they're just saying shit. Dude, there's that interview. Machine Gun Kelly just got interviewed recently again. I think it was like fucking Aiden Ross or something. I have no idea. One of these like kid streamers. They obviously I can't talk too much shit about because I have no subscribers. But Machine Gun Kelly literally tried to say that he doesn't eat. He's like, yeah, I don't eat. I just smoke cigarettes and drink coffee. And then I don't remember what else he said. He said like he survives on. I'm gonna pull that clip up for sure. There's no way I can't pull that shit up. PS5 and commenting on my laptops. There's a bit of delay. No, it's all good. It's all good, Cole. I'm always late to comments anyways. Proto Max doing some Twitch duty too. Doja Cat and Sam Smith did it way better. Dude, Sam Smith, I can't stand the fat devil chick. The fat devil chick costume. Like he's like a fat girl devil. Like that. That's like a perfect, I was just talking about that earlier. Like perfect example of fucking these guys not actually knowing anything. I'll just Megan Fox only because I've heard some other interviews with her where she just is just saying edgelord shit. Oh yeah, I fucking found it. Hold on, give me a second. I can't believe people actually believe this guy. Like, come on.
I don't really eat. Just do water a bunch.
I don't really eat. I just do water a bunch.
Eat?
Oh, really?
You fast mainly? You eat like once a day.
Like I ate that burger because we're streaming and it's.
So earlier in the stream, they all got burgers. And he's like, I ate that burger just because we're streaming. No, bro, it's because you fucking eat like any other normal person. And now you're just trying to sound cool. What do you mean you don't eat? Fucking retard. I can't fucking stand this guy. I cannot fucking stand this guy.
It's like my man shit, you know, but.
Okay, we weren't streaming. What would you have had for dinner?
Probably water, yeah.
For how?
Yeah, I would have had water for dinner. I only ate that burger because we were streaming. No, it's because you fucking eat burgers every fucking day.
You don't ever feel weak or lightheaded? Like,
Yeah, sometimes I'll eat a couple times a week. But what will you eat for those meals?
And then it says, "Oh, I eat a couple times a week." Just there's nothing this guy says is fucking real.
Bone broth with kimchi and
Bone broth with kimchi.
sauerkraut.
No way. Oh, you're on like permanent fast.
do you drink green juice and shit too?
I drink like celery juice sometimes, yeah. Coconut water.
Probably hella healthy though.
Right, healthy as hell, boy.
I don't know. Yeah, shit. I
Food is
guess.
bad for a lot of the food in America. It's really bad for.
You know, there was a study that said if you do 1 7-day fast, you know this. You do 1 7-day fast, it
I thought the guy over here was that Aiden Ross kid. I don't know who any of these guys are. I don't know. I know that one name, and to me they all just look like Aiden Ross to me.
removes like 80% of cancer-causing cells from your body.
No way.
In one clean sweep.
How are you so healthy?
I don't know. I mean, I really honestly just coffee and cigarettes is what I can. I'm sick because all that tobacco I grinded up, I left at the house and we got swatted. So I'm over here like all I'm thinking about is like fuck. Like
He claims he's sick. He's withdrawing from tobacco. That's what he's saying, right?
I don't know. I mean, I really honestly just coffee and cigarettes is what I can. I'm sick because all that tobacco I grinded up, I left at the house.
Yeah, he ground up a bunch of tobacco and left it at the house, and now he's sick. He's withdrawing from his ground tobacco. What a fucking pussy.
We got swatted. So I'm over here like all I'm thinking about is like fuck. Like
coffee, cigarettes, bone broth.
I'm about to be what you're on.
Kimchi and sauerkraut because that has probiotics, you know. So like when you do those water fasts, the only thing that's crazy is it kills all the good bacteria in you too. You gotta put the
Kels, you can send me which probiotic you use.
Yeah, I mean it's literally like kimchi and sauerkraut has a lot of good probiotics in it. So like if you just get organic kimchi and organic sauerkraut, nah.
Like
I'll just cook it in the bone broth. I don't really eat.
Doesn't cooking it cook out the probiotics? I thought that was and I could be wrong, but I can't be more wrong than Machine Gun Kelly. You know, of course he bagged Megan Fox, but I don't even care. I don't even care at that point. When you start talking about, oh, I only ate that burger because we were streaming. No, bro, it's because you eat like any other normal fucking person in the world. Like, that's literally shit I was saying in 8th grade. You know, like when you're in 8th grade and you have your mom drop you off down the street because you don't want anybody to know that you came from parents. Like, it's embarrassing to let your friends know that you came out of 2 parents. Like, right after I had my mom drop me off 4 blocks away and then walked over to my friend's house, I would then say, yeah, I don't eat, bro. I don't eat. I just drink coffee. I'm going to eat this burger right now, but it's just because I'm here. I don't usually eat. I'll eat this burger right now just because I'm here. But trust me, I don't usually eat burgers. I don't eat it all. I don't eat anything. I just cook the probiotics out of my food and then eat that. Yeah, I just do water. Yeah, he just does water, but then goes on to coffee and cigarettes and kimchi and bone. So which one is it? Oh, dude, there's a clip. Megan Fox did that, like, Call Her Daddy podcast. And I heard, like, a clip from it. And it was atrocious. It was atrocious. Like, couldn't even get my way through the 5-minute clip. I should damn near pull up that whole episode on here. That shit was terrible. I think one of them on that show was one of Logan Paul, like the guy that does the podcast with him or something. I've seen him with some of the wrestlers on his podcast. Yeah, his podcast co-host. He is lightheaded from having no nicotine or no tobacco. That's his ground up tobacco. Of course, he grinds up his own tobacco too. Yeah, and I don't believe these guys. That's why I don't buy into all this, like this modern day satanic panic. You know, like, again, like Michael Knowles talking about these celebrities are doing devil shit. No, they're not. They don't know anything about real devil shit because they're all fucking stupid. Machine Gun Kelly has never tasted blood in his fucking life. Megan Fox has never drank blood in her fucking life. Like I said, if they got an interviewer that knew anything at all, the interviewer would say, oh, okay, what are you doing these rituals for? Like, what is the purpose of them? Surely you don't just do rituals for no reason, right? Like, what are you hoping to achieve by drinking each other's blood, according to you? They have no answers. What is the spell? What is the spell that you're doing? Where did you learn of these spells? They don't know anything. There's like, oh, let's tell them we drink blood because it sounds fucking cool. They probably just binged a bunch of like Marilyn Manson videos the night before they did that interview. They're like, yeah, let's go start telling them that we drink blood. That'll be cool. Oh, I'll start telling people I just don't eat. I love the burger part. Like they probably just watched him eat a whole ass fucking burger on a live stream. And then 20 minutes later, they're like, oh yeah, bro, so what do you usually eat? Oh, I only ate that burger because we're streaming. Like, first of all, what kind of excuse is that? Like, you could have just said, no, I'm good. What do you have to eat a burger because you're live streaming? What the fuck does that even have? What does that have to do with anything? I thought you wanted to look cool. Why don't you really look cool and not eat the burger on live stream? No, because you're a normal ass dude. You were hungry. You all got burgers and you ate a fucking burger. I fucking hate this guy. I would just fucking destroy Machine Gun Kelly with my bare hands if I ever get the chance. That's the only reason. If this YouTube channel fucking in 50 years takes off, if that's how long it takes, I will make it happen just so I can invite Machine Gun Kelly onto a stream and then just flip on him immediately. As soon as the camera turns on, I'm just gonna fucking wreck this motherfucker who doesn't eat anything. I'll be like, hey, you want a burger since we're on stream? Oh yeah, I guess so. Since we're on stream, I'll have a burger. But that's it. I don't usually eat. Angelina and Billy Bob. Dude, they just want to be fucking anybody but who they actually are. Some fucking corny white dude from the Midwest that thinks he's a rapper. Got fucking destroyed by Eminem so bad that he has to start talking about how he doesn't eat food anymore. These are the people. Like, these are the people. That's when I really start not taking the opinions of like Republicans seriously, is when they talk about these like negative, like they are negative influences. Like if I had kids, my kids would not be listening to Machine Gun Kelly, but not because I'm worried that Machine Gun Kelly is going to take my kid to the devil, because I'm worried that my kid will lose brain cells listening to this guy fucking talk. That's why I wouldn't let my kids listen to Machine Gun Kelly. Or Ice Spice. No, I'm not keeping my kids away from Ice Spice because she's gonna bring them to the devil. No, I'm keeping them away from Ice Spice because she's a fucking retard who thinks she knows anything about real like, dude, it's just not. Like, I really don't take Republicans seriously when they start talking about, you know, modern day satanic panic type shit. And it's like, dude, you guys don't even know what you're talking about, and you guys are the ones that are super Christian. Like that's the other thing. Like Michael Knowles is supposed to be like this hardcore Catholic Christian dude, but then he's like falling for all this bullshit. Like I thought you of all people would know like what real Satanism looks like and what real dabbling in the dark arts looks like and shit. But then he sees Ice Spice doing funny shit with her hands at the Super Bowl, and he's like, oh, this is satanic. This is satanic. No, it's fucking retardation is what it is. There's no fucking Satanism involved in any of that shit. They're just stupid and they think it looks cool, and you're contributing to it. Like, you are part of the reason that Ice Spice thinks she looks cool. You are part of the reason that Machine Gun Kelly thinks he looks cool when he talks about drinking blood. Yeah, listening to Machine Gun Kelly will just turn you into a loser automatically. Yeah, no, there is nothing to worry about when it comes to these celebrities nowadays doing any kind of satanic shit. They most certainly are not. They most certainly do not know what they're talking about. On that podcast Megan Fox was on recently, she tried to say that she reads books. I can't remember what the topic was. I've really got to fucking find this. But it was like, no, you don't. Yeah, dude, you should be worried about that stuff. That'd be my main concern, is just making sure my kids do not come across stuff like Stuff like this.
Going, this makes sense for a Megan Fox episode. When you are like late night by yourself, your kids are asleep, what is your favorite thing to do at night usually?
Well, I usually stay by the fire and I like to read. And I read a lot of metaphysical books.
That's what it is. Metaphysics. Megan Fox reading books about metaphysics. That's what Megan Fox is doing late at night. She's reading a lot of metaphysical books.
But right now I'm reading whatever that new like adult version of Twilight book
that's more believable. That's more, I like it. I like how she has to throw in the metaphysical book, and then she's like, but what I've actually been reading is like romance novels, which is, you know, like female porn basically.
It's like a erotic fairy book.
Wait, isn't it like the king of...
Yeah, so she's really reading about books about fucking fairies, but she's got to make sure you think that she's smart, so she throws in the metaphysics books. She's reading books about fucking metaphysics. You know, my kids are only watching Dragon Ball Z. They're getting motivation from Goku. They're getting motivational speeches from Goku and Vegeta every day. And Goku and Vegeta eat a lot of food. So my kids will know it's cool to eat. Actually, you know what? No, not a lot of food. A good amount of food, I guess. If you turn Super Saiyan, you can eat as much as Goku and Vegeta. But if you're not going Super Saiyan, you're not eating as much as those guys eat.
Or the Court of Thorns.
Yeah, I'm reading that.
Wait, does it like kind of make you horny?
I haven't gotten to the horny part yet, but I know that I'm gonna get there because I know that he has like the ability to bind her energetically with magic, and I'm already like, I'm here for that.
That'll.
So he's gonna rape this girl, right? Is that what she's saying? She's reading a book about rape. Is that not what she's talking about? Like, she's reading a book about this guy that has the ability to bind a girl with energy? Like, what else would you be binding the girl for in a romance novel?
I'll do it for you.
So, we're reading books about fairies raping each other and books about metaphysics. Those are the two genres that Megan Fox is on here talking about.
Yeah. I remember my friend was reading it. She was like, Alex, I'm not kidding you. I keep waking my boyfriend up in the middle of the night because I'm reading about fairies, but something get me going. I'm like, I don't understand it. Maybe I need to read it.
I'm not there yet, but I feel like you should. And it's definitely a lot more interesting than most of the like psychological textbooks that I read by the fire at night.
You're reading textbooks over there?
Sometimes.
You enjoy that?
Yeah, like 2 minutes and 45 seconds into this thing, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, Megan Fox is reading textbooks. Reading textbooks, drinking blood, reading about fairies raping each other. Like, come on, none of this stuff is true. None of this stuff is true. And these are the people that like Republicans will tell you that you should be worried about, like on a serious level, right? Like I said, I am worried about them because they're gonna turn the kids retarded, right? Like they're actively turning the younger generations stupid. But I'm not worried about them bringing kids to the devil. Like Megan Fox is not bringing my kid to the devil. She's not going to be teaching your kids how to drink blood because she's not drinking blood. It's okay to eat that burger. Like, don't listen to Machine Gun Kelly. Even he eats burgers too. He literally admits it in the first 5 seconds of that clip. Yeah, that is definitely a big thing for me. When I do listen to, you know, I listen to everything. So when I do listen to Republicans and conservatives and they start talking about the influences of Satan today, I'm like, okay, now you're losing me because you guys are supposed to be the Christian ones and you're telling me you can't see through this stuff. Maybe there's an argument maybe there's an argument to be made that like if you're a young and impressionable kid and you hear somebody like Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox talking about drinking blood and they're talking about like complete pop culture surface level like ritualism and black magic, that could be like a door opener. Like that could influence a kid to actually get into the real stuff. But if you like teach your kid anything, if your kid has an IQ that is like room temperature, they should be able to pick up on that just fine. They should be able to say like, okay, I don't believe these people. They don't know what they're talking about. You're gonna tell me Megan Fox reads a book about fairies committing rape? and then goes on to read textbooks about metaphysics and then drink some blood. Come on. It's like they're playing like create your own character. Like they're just playing RPGs and they're just playing this create a character. I guess that's the cool thing about being famous. Actually, I guess, yeah, you can do that. You are fully in your right to do that as a famous person. You get to kind of create your own character and just pretend you are a bunch of shit that you're really not. I don't know. I prefer the old Satanic Panic. It was way cooler. It was just way cooler. I mean, at least we were getting good music out of it. You know, at least we were getting good music. At least we were getting fucking Shout at the Devil. We were getting fucking Ozzy. We were getting the greatest horror movies of all time. But it's not hitting today. It's just not hitting today. It's not hitting the same. Yeah, exactly. This shit, it probably puts kids off to the devil. Like they're like, oh god, this is fucking tacky. This is cheesy. Like I want nothing to do with this devil shit. If these are the guys that are like, you know, doing devil shit, like count me out. Definitely count me out. There is gonna be, you know what's gonna happen though, is the next generation. There's this kid I talked to in Florida. I think he's like 21. He might even be like 19 or 20. You know, I know him through the Disco Acid Instagram page. And he is super Christian. He's like super Christian. He's not into any of the shit going on today. Basically what I'm saying is millennials, right? Like my generation, because my generation is so fucking lame. What's going to happen is, you know, my generation has kids or they're having kids or whatever. Those kids are going to start rebelling, and their form of rebellion is going to be like by being conservative, right? Like their form of rebellion is going to be like wearing a fucking suit and tie and like going to church, which is hilarious. That's what's going to happen. Like their form of rebellion is going to be like going to church, not having sex until they're married. Like all the people of like the 1950s like are very envious of the millennial parents today. Yeah, every boy should watch Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z for sure. And they should pay attention when Goku talks and when Vegeta talks. I think Vegeta is a good motivational source. I know there's pride in there. And you could argue that you don't want to be as prideful as somebody like Vegeta, but I think Vegeta, especially later on in the series when he becomes a better person, you know, Vegeta goes through a great character arc. Let's be honest. Vegeta goes from, I mean, straight up a bad guy who rolls around blowing up planets to a married man, a father who looks out for his family and, you know, takes care of the planet Earth.
Take the Senate.
Yeah, we don't get cool moments like this anymore in pop culture either. Dee Snider showing up at the Senate hearing to talk about censorship in music.
Mr. Snyder, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here. I don't know if it's morning or afternoon. I'll say both. Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Dee Snider. That's S-N-I-D-E-R. I have been asked to come here to present
Damn, I thought it was Y. I spelled it Y up here in the search. I feel stupid now.
my views on, quote, the subject of the content of certain sound recordings and suggestions that recording packages be labeled to provide a warning to prospective purchasers of sexually explicit or other potentially offensive content, unquote.
See, that's part of the difference, I think, when it comes to people calling for censorship in the 80s and people calling for censorship today. This whole Senate hearing was about putting a label on albums that just said like, hey, there's some explicit content in this, which by the way did end up happening, like I said earlier, the parental advisory sticker, and backfired completely, basically just letting kids know like, hey, this is the cool album, this is the album that you want. But yeah, back in the 80s it was just all about, let's try to make sure kids can't get this stuff, you know, or let's make it so parents know like, hey, beware. Today everybody just wants to shut your shit down entirely. And that is like a thing you see on the left. I will. That is kind of their thing. They are the ones nowadays. Whenever people call for censorship nowadays, they want you like off of the internet. They want you not talking. Like they want everything completely gone. So it's funny that the 80s, you know, gets this bad rap for conservatives like trying to you know put the big oppression. Put the big weight of oppression on art. And it's like, dude, in most cases, like realistically, I mean, the most realistic you can get, a Senate hearing, it's just all about putting a label on albums, just saying, hey, just to let you guys know there's some explicit content in here. So I think we've definitely pushed it as far as like methods of calling for censorship, whatever the fuck you would call that. You know, I think it's pretty ridiculous nowadays. It's ridiculous nowadays how many times you see it. It's just so common.
Before I get into that, I'd like to tell the committee a little bit about myself. I'm 30 years old. I'm married. I have a 3-year-old son. I was born and raised a Christian, and I still adhere to those principles. Believe it or not, I do not drink, I do not smoke, and I do not do drugs. I do play in and write the songs for a rock and roll band named Twisted Sister.
Oh, by the way, I am not a big Twisted Sister fan at all. Not a big fan at all. I don't think they were that cool. This is definitely like the highlight of Dee Snider's career, I would say, was doing this thing at the Senate hearing. You know, they had the Senate hearing to decide if they were going to start labeling albums or not. I think they originally wanted to do way more than the parental advisory sticker. They originally wanted to have like a full, like on the cover would be like a full, like what's involved. Like, hey, there'd be like different labels for sexual content or different labels for violence or different labels for occult type stuff. And this was all spurred on by Tipper Gore, I think, Al Gore's wife. I think the story is that she bought her daughter. She had like a young daughter who really liked Prince. And I guess Tipper Gore just knew nothing about this. She just was like, oh yeah, my daughter talks about this guy Prince and she likes him, so whatever. And then like I think one year for like her daughter's birthday or for Christmas or whatever, she bought her a fucking Prince album. And then one day she was listening to the album and Tipper Gore, the mom, just so happened to be around and she heard some of the lyrics and was like, oh, this is super sexual. And it's like, okay, so you didn't pay attention to what your kid was into. You know, it's literally the same thing you have nowadays where parents are complaining about Sabrina Carpenter when they're saying like, oh, my 14-year-old daughter likes Sabrina Carpenter, but she's singing and she's doing all this sex stuff at her shows. Okay, then don't take her to the shows. Like, then don't let her listen to her. Like, you are the parent. Like, you can take the fucking tablet away from your kid and not let her listen to Sabrina Carpenter. You can take her phone away. Whatever it is you got to do if you're really that worried about your kid listening to Sabrina Carpenter, which I could see concerns for. Yeah, sure, if I had like a 14-year-old daughter. I think context matters. You know, you know your daughter better than anybody else. I would assume you should be able to judge whether you think your daughter can handle listening to Sabrina Carpenter or not. But if you made the decision to not, you know, if you don't think she should be, then yeah, fucking don't let her. Don't go complain up to Sabrina Carpenter about it. What the fuck? Don't go complain to what are you emailing? Well, I don't even know. But I mean, they're obviously all just on the internet. That's where this stuff starts. It's just like moms on Facebook posting about Sabrina Carpenter. It's like, what do you think if enough of you post about Sabrina Carpenter, she's just going to stop? Like, she's going to... No, that's not how it fucking works. Just take your fucking kid's shit away.
That is classified as heavy metal. And I pride myself on writing songs that are consistent with my above-mentioned beliefs. There are many facets to this complex issue, and time does not permit me to address all of them. However, my feelings are expressed for the most part by the August 8th, 1985 letter to the Parents Music Resource Center from Mr. Stanley Gordikoff, President of the Recording Industry Association of America. This letter was a formal response to the PMRC's petition of the RIAA. The only part of this document I do not support is Mr. Gordikoff's unnecessary and unfortunate decision to agree to a so-called generic label on some selected records. In my opinion, this should be retracted. Since I seem to be the only person addressing this committee today who has been a direct target of accusations from the presumably responsible PMRC, I would like to use this occasion to speak on a more personal note and show just how unfair the whole concept of lyrical interpretation and judgment can be, and how many times this can amount to little more than character assassination.
One of the things that's funny is that, obviously, like, the musicians lost, right? We did get the parental advisory sticker. But like I said, that became like the best thing for music. That became like the thing that let kids know that, hey, this is a cool album. Like, once you saw that sticker on an album, you really had to get it. So in the 80s, 1985, PMRC Parents Music Resource Center, they published a list of the top 15 songs that they wanted to be banned. Okay, so that is a bit farther than, okay, this is a Reddit post, actually, so I don't know how seriously I should take this. They said they wanted it to be banned, but what do they mean by banned? It's just like gone? Because it's only one song. It's like 15 songs. So, like, there's one Def Leppard song on here, so you just want to get rid of that one song? Okay, yeah, no, so of course Reddit doesn't know what it's talking about. Man, I've really learned that you can't take shit on Reddit seriously, which is crazy. I always thought Reddit was like the forum of the internet. Reddit really is like dominated by stupid people. Like, you would think there'd be some smart people on Reddit. I feel like Sabrina Carpenter was more subliminal in her approach, where songs blap her equally. There's no way you're familiar with Sabrina Carpenter if you think she's more subliminal in her approach. Sabrina Carpenter has... Dude, let me pull up some of her fucking lyrics. I love Sabrina Carpenter, by the way. What's that one song where she says, "Come right on me"? I mean, literally. Yeah, Bedchem. Dude, subliminal, no way. I'm pushing back against you on this one, Cole. Yeah, the second verse of Bedchem is "Come right on me." And then she says, "I mean camaraderie." Like she misspoke the word camaraderie and accidentally said "come on me." I mean, I think that's all I have to read, is that she has a line that says "come right on me." She says, "Said you're not in my time zone, but you want to be. Where art thou? Why not uponeth me?" Yeah, but we'd have really good bed chemistry. How you pick me up, pull them down, turn me around. Yeah, so it's like you pick her up because she's small, she doesn't weigh a lot, and then you pull her pants down, and then you turn her around. Yeah, no way is any of Sabrina Carpenter's stuff subliminal. I would say like 80s Madonna was more subliminal, honestly. And Madonna is on this list of the Filthy 15. Let me see. The Filthy 15 was a list of songs compiled in 1985 by the PMRC to highlight music they deemed offensive due to explicit lyrics. Yeah, so Reddit is retarded. They were not trying to ban these songs. These were just 15 songs that they were using to say, like, hey, this is a good example of inappropriate shit. And this is why we think we need to start putting on a parental advisory sticker on albums. Yeah, man, fuck Reddit. But anyways, let's see. Yep, didn't hear that line. It's a really good song. You should listen. It's called Bedchem. I like Sabrina Carpenter a lot. If you listen to like Espresso is a very lightweight song. I think that's why some of the parents get tricked, because they only hear like some of the singles, right? You hear like Espresso, which probably is meant to be a lighter song, because when you do the radio single, you usually want that to be more appropriate. So I'm sure Espresso was written intentionally to be more appropriate than the rest of her songs. But when you get into some of the songs on her album, yeah, she's pretty like sexual in nature. I mean, especially at her live shows. But that's her deal. She wants to do that. I think it's fine. Let me see. I was gonna pull up this list on Reddit. I don't really need to pull it up, I guess, but there are 15 songs. Eat Me Alive by Judas Priest, that was rated X for profanity or explicit content. Bastard by Motley Crue was rated V. There's Violence, which is funny because there's multiple Motley Crue songs they could have picked. Darling Nikki by Prince. Sugar Walls by Sheena Easton. Sugar Walls, you know what that is? That's hilarious. That's a great term for pussy. Like, I know Trey likes box. That's Trey's favorite term for pussy is box, but Sugar Walls is also really good. Oh, yeah, then there's a song called Fuck Like a Beast by Wasp, who's like a notorious 80s hair band that's like way more hard than all the rest of them. Into the Coven by Merciful Fate. Strap On Robbie Baby by Vanity. I think that I can't read. I can never read from where my seat is. High and Dry by Def Leppard. We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. Dress You Up by Madonna. She Bop by Cyndi Lauper. Let Me Put My Love Into You by AC/DC. Trashed by Black Sabbath. My House by Mary Jane Girls, and Possessed by Venom. Yeah, the Filthy 15 in 1985. Yeah, just because the idea of Reddit, right? It is like the forum of the internet. You know, and of course there is some reliable people on Reddit. Like I go on Reddit all the time. And really, if you're looking into things just like general stuff, but it's once you start getting, you know, of course it's social issues. Once you start getting into social issues on Reddit. I remember last time when Drunken Japan was on the channel, he was saying he was on Reddit one time, and there was a whole Reddit thread about people were all saying that if Joe Biden, I think I talked about this, if Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin got into a fight, Joe Biden would fuck up Vladimir Putin in a fist fight, in a physical fist fight. And Drunken Japan was like, what are you talking about? And it was obvious that these were just all leftists. They just liked Joe Biden and don't like Putin. And Drunken Japan was like, dude, you can like Joe Biden as a president or a politician and acknowledge that he would get fucked up by Vladimir Putin. Like, that's like, he like couldn't even believe. And then he said, when you scroll down, you know, you start seeing all the downvoted comments. There was a few people that were like, no, actually, Vladimir Putin would destroy Biden in a fist fight. And everybody was downvoting these guys and talking shit to them. And it sucks because there's like some subreddits, like there's a lot of history. Like, I like history, which is honestly the thing that sucks that's been ruined, is like any kind of historical content now. Like, if I want to go on YouTube and find a cool documentary about the history of the presidents, like, you really can't find anything objective anymore. Whereas I feel like when I was a kid, if you watch History Channel, you would get like pretty generally, like they would talk about the good things and the bad things, and like facts were more agreed upon. Like, I still don't understand how people debate like the economy. I'm terrible with economics. I don't understand anything about the economy. But to me, it sounds like it's money. There should be like factual and objective things. Like, how are there even debates about, like, you know, like, people will debate whether a president in history did good with the economy or not. It's like, what are you debating? Like, shouldn't there be like a metric you can look at? Shouldn't there be like an objective? But there are debates. Like, people just will debate this stuff, and I'm totally lost. I'm like, I don't even understand this. So now when you watch any kind of, you know, you find a documentary on YouTube that's made by somebody about any kind of historical event or any of the presidents, like, you're going to get their political opinions, and they're going to present them as fact. That's the annoying thing. They will present them as fact. They will tell you, you know, whatever they're saying is right. And so I don't like how that kind of stuff gets affected. But that stuff gets affected on Reddit too. there's a whole subreddit that's just all about the presidents. And anytime anybody brings up any kind of really anything, it all just turns into people having arguments about their politics. And it's like, well, I just wanted to look at like an objective list about like what president did good in this area or whatever president did good in that area, I guess. And somebody says the PMRC did more for record sales than any PR team could have dreamed of. The best thing about this list is that it's all now mainstream pop music, which is true. They were artists at the same time making really offensive to white Christian mothers art and music. Parental advisory stickers were coveted. Yeah, that is the best part about the PMRC stuff, is that they really just helped out all the music way more than they ever could have imagined.
I have taken the liberty of distributing to you material and lyrics pertaining to these accusations. There were 3 attacks in particular which I would like to address. Accusation number 1. This attack was contained in an article written by Tipper Gore, which was given the form of a full page in my hometown newspaper on Long Island. In this article, Ms. Gore claimed that one of my songs, Under the Blade, had lyrics encouraging sadomasochism, bondage, and rape. The lyrics she quoted have absolutely nothing to do with these topics.
If this happened in 2025, he would have had to say grape. He'd be at the Senate hearing. It'd be over Zoom call, actually. If this was in 2025, it would be Dee Snider. He'd be like on a screen, on a Zoom call in the Senate court hearing, whatever. And he'd be like, yeah, we're talking about grape. God, I can't fucking stand all those just terms. Dude, I can't stand like, because like the word rape is literally in the word grape, right? So the idea of censoring those words, like when they censor like the word kill, they say unalive and they say grape instead of rape. It's like, bro, they all mean the same thing. Like you're saying the exact same thing. It brings the same thoughts to people's minds. Especially with grape, like I said, the most ridiculous one, because it literally is just adding a letter before the word rape. The thing that's annoying is that they make you do that because the idea of it is like, oh, the word itself could be triggering to like victims, people who have been victims of rape or people who know victims of rape. It's like, okay, but if everybody starts calling it grape, then the word grape now just means rape. So now when a rape victim goes grocery shopping, are they just triggered when they pass by the grapes? Because now you're passing by the grapes, and now this new word that society has agreed upon to mean rape is none of it makes any fucking sense. It's all ridiculous, and it's ridiculous just like how easily people accept this like self-censorship, like just the way that everybody on the internet just got on board with it like immediately. Like just one day, dude, like the band The Killers, I made a joke like The Killers is gonna have to change their name to The Unalivers. Like you're now gonna see Mr. Brightside by The Unalivers. Yeah, you're just choosing it's the exact same meaning. Like if my cousin was murdered and I was triggered by the topic or the word, now whenever you say unalive, that's still gonna trigger me because I'm still gonna think about somebody killing my fucking cousin. It makes no sense. And just the way that people jump on board with this. Like, I try to be understanding in some cases because I do get it. Like, people make their living on YouTube and TikTok, and it sucks. Like, you have to play by the rules, or else you lose your job. You have no income. You don't make money anymore. But it's like, dude, if enough people didn't abide by that shit, like there'd be no. It's one of those things. Like, people complain about how all the, McDonald's and like fast food restaurants going minimalist. Right? I see that complaint on all the nostalgia pages. I'm like, yeah, it's all of our fault. It's all our faults. Like, the day your local McDonald's adopted did the construction and turned into a minimalist building, you should have stopped going there. The entire town should have stopped going there. And if McDonald's made no money, they would have gone back to the old building. That's how boycotting is supposed to work. But no one's actually down for any fucking cause anymore. Everyone on the internet just immediately is like, okay, yeah, we'll start saying grape now. Like, oh yeah. Yeah, so I heard the story about this one fella. He raped this girl. Like, first of all, now I'm laughing. Right now, you're telling me a story about rape, and I'm laughing about it because you're talking about raping people. It just sounds fucking absurd. Talking about unaliving people. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna unalive people. And then how long is it gonna take until they just start censoring those words? Like, one day TikTok's just gonna be like, okay, now too many people are saying unalive. Like, let's change it. I almost think it's just like a trick. Like, these social media platforms, like, their employees are just like playing jokes. Like, they're just fucking around. They're just sitting in the office and they're like, let's start getting people to say dumb shit. Let's see if we can get everybody to start using a fruit, like a fruit, instead of sexual assault. We'll have to make them call it a fruit. It's so fucking ridiculous. If enough people just stopped abiding by like retarded rules and weird self-censorship rules, and there'd be nothing they can do. But too many people are like not down for these causes. Yeah, no, if you live in a town and you guys still have an old school McDonald's, as soon as they change into the minimalist McDonald's, like, stop going there. Get your whole town, be like, hey, we're not going here anymore. We want the play structure back. My kids have nowhere to piss now that there's no play structure out back in McDonald's. Somebody should start a petition. That's what we should do. We should start a petition. Be like, yeah, ever since they got rid of the play structure outside of my local McDonald's, my kid has nowhere to piss. He only felt comfortable pissing in the slide on the play structure in McDonald's. Now my kid's been holding in his piss for 2 years, and he's on his deathbed. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I know that when Silent Night, Deadly Night came out, so many Christian mothers and Republicans and conservatives boycotted the movie that they pulled it out of the theaters. The theaters stopped showing it. And today, conservatives just don't have that kind of pull anymore. There just is no pull. And like I said, I don't think they deserve it. I'm not saying you should pull Barbie out of the theaters because Ben Shapiro didn't like it. But I don't know, there has to be some kind of answer. There has to be some kind of middle ground answer.
On the contrary, the words in question are about surgery and the fear that it instills in people. Furthermore, the reader of this article is led to believe that the 3 lines she quotes go together in the song, when, as you can see from reading the lyrics, the first 2 lines she cites are an edited phrase from the 2nd verse, and the 3rd line is a misquote of a line from the chorus. That the writer could misquote me is curious, since we make it a point to print all our lyrics on the inner sleeve of every album. As the creator of Under the Blade, I can say categorically that the only sadomasochism, bondage, and rape in this song is in the mind of Ms. Gore.
That was the funniest part, was how he basically was like, yeah, Tipper Gore is just a pervert. And she was just trying to think about lyrics about rape.
Accusation number 2. The PMRC has made public a list of 15 of what they feel are some of the most blatant songs lyrically.
So along with these songs, in England, actually, they got way more carried away with it in the 1980s. England made a list of horror films that were called the video nasties. And those movies were straight up banned. Like in the 80s, there are movies that were illegal. Like, you would get arrested for owning them. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was on that list in England. I don't think it ever even was actually released in England until like the 2000s. Yeah, 1982. The Video Nasties in England. In the UK starts. And then in 1999, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was broadcast on Channel 4 for like the first time. Which is crazy. It's crazy to think that there are so many people today that will talk about how America was so oppressive in the 1980s. It's like, bro, England was straight up banning movies, like making movies illegal. Like people went to jail for owning fucking movies in England in the 80s. And you guys want to talk about how oppressive shit was in America?
On this list is our song, We're Not Gonna Take It, upon which has been bestowed a V rating indicating violent lyrical content. You'll note from the lyrics before you that there is absolutely no violence of any type either sung about or implied anywhere in the song. Now, it strikes me that the PMRC may have confused our video presentation for this song with the meaning of the lyrics. It's no secret that videos often depict storylines completely unrelated to the lyrics of the song they accompany. The video for We're Not Gonna Take It was simply meant to be a cartoon with human actors playing variations on the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote theme. Each stunt was selected from my extensive personal collection of cartoons. You'll note when you watch the entire video that after each catastrophe our villain suffers through, in the next sequence he reappears unharmed by any previous attack, no worse for the wear. By the way...
Yeah, that is true. Watching any music video from the 1980s, especially on the rock and hair metal realm, and thinking it's like a serious threat is, you know, I know there's a lot of time between now and the 80s, but looking back, like the 80s was like the cheesiest decade ever. That's one of my favorite things about it. Everything is so cheesy. It's like hard to take any of it seriously. That actually is a challenge, I think, for people getting into 80s stuff in general. You have to find a way to break through that thick layer of cheese, because it is very cheesy. So it's crazy to think that people back then were actually scared of this shit. But that's another reason I have a hard time believing all these, like, you know, like I keep talking about in that In Search of Darkness documentary, when they're talking about how it was a very oppressive time in the 80s. I'm like, dude, these parents and conservatives, they were a bunch of fucking nerds. Like, what do you mean it was oppressive? They're nerds who are like afraid of a music video that was based on cartoons. I have a hard time using that word to describe the 1980s. You know, I understand things were much more conservative than they are now, and like Christianity and Catholicism was still like the majority, but oppressive? Dude, like, I'm sorry. Especially when you go right back to the documentary and they're talking about how great all the movies were and how it was such an time of artistic freedom and creativity was blooming. And then you go over to the music world and everybody's talking about cocaine and everyone's having sex everywhere. And it's like, dude, I'm not going to listen to you when you talk about the 80s being oppressive. I do think, you know, obviously there were challenges for, obviously, like stuff like this is a challenge for musicians. I don't know. I'm not actually going to finish this whole thing, this video. It's like fucking 25 more minutes and I'm going to go pretty soon. But yeah, I don't know. I do think there needs to be some kind of yin and yang between the two, but I don't think it's possible anymore.
I'm very pleased to note that the United Way of America has been granted a request to use portions of our We're Not Gonna Take It video in a program they are producing on the subject of the changing American family. They asked for it because of its, quote, lighthearted way of talking about communicating with teenagers, unquote. It is gratifying that an organization as respected as the United Way of America appreciates where we're coming from. I've included a copy of the United Way's request as part of my written testimony. Thank you, United Way. Accusation number 3. Last Tuesday, a public forum regarding the lyric controversy was held in New York. Among the panelists was Ms. Gore. Trying to stem the virtual tidal wave of anti-rating sentiment coming from the audience, Ms. Gore made the following statement, quote, "I agree this is a small percentage of all music, thank goodness, but it's becoming more mainstream. You look at even the t-shirts the kids are wearing, and you see Twisted Sister and a woman in handcuffs sort of spread-eagled," unquote. This is an outright lie. Not only have we never sold a shirt of this type, we have always taken great pains to steer clear of sexism in our merchandise, records, stage show, and personal lives. Furthermore, we have always promoted the belief that rock and roll should not be sexist, but should cater to males and females equally. I feel that an accusation of this type is irresponsible, damaging to our reputation, and slanderous.
It is funny that they called in Dee Snider for this. I mean, I'm sure they couldn't just call anybody that they wanted to, but if they wanted to pin sexism on rock stars, I mean, they could have called in anybody from Motley Crue. Twisted Sister really was like a pretty clean cut. Like they had a crazy look. They looked fucking insane. That was that was really all they had, but they were not like a hard partying band. They weren't one of the hair metal bands. But I'm sure that's just all they could get. But if they had the ability to pull somebody in against their will, they for sure should have pulled in like fucking Nikki Sixx or Vince Neil from Motley Crue. But I guess, yeah, all they could get was Dee Snider. I know Frank Zappa talked at the PMRC too. That people talk about that, but that doesn't get as much attention as Dee Snider. People really like this was like Dee Snider's most iconic moment. I think one, because of how he looks. He came in with his hair down like that, and people like were shocked by that. But yeah, they really should have pulled in someone from Motley Crue, because there'd be no defense. That's the thing with Motley Crue. There's no defending Motley Crue's morals. Like, even as a big fan of Motley Crue, if somebody wants to go at you and be like, well, they did this, that, and the other, you really just have to say, okay, yeah, you're right. There's no way you can defend anything Motley Crue did. Yeah, there's not even a Twisted Sister song that I actually like. The only Twisted Sister song I like is the SpongeBob version. I'm a Goofy Goober, which is obviously a play on We're Not Gonna Take It. No, it's a play on I Wanna Rock. That's what it is. The I'm a Goofy Goober song is basically a cover of I Wanna Rock by Twisted Sister. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan. Just not a big fan of Twisted Sister at all. I'm gonna get out of here pretty soon. Dude, I don't know what to do about a co-host for this thing. I had, even that one girl I talked about having on, even she like disappeared now. I think she like deleted her account even on Instagram. And I don't think she blocked me because I can search for people on my personal account. And when I noticed that she disappeared off of the disco page, I searched for her on my personal account that she doesn't know exists. So it's not like she could have blocked that one too. Yeah, she must be going through some kind of phase right now because she deleted her thing. There's this one kid from Georgia that I was like pretty close. Like, he's been wanting to come on for a long time, and I talked to him about it recently. But then all of a sudden now he's been busy. Yeah, it's just been bad. It's to the point now where Annie's like, oh, you should go on. Like, Annie's like, you should go. Annie told me I should go on Craigslist, and I should make dating apps, and you use them to start searching for a co-host. Just tell them you have like an up and coming live stream channel, and tell them the kind of stuff you want to do. I'm about to just try to get Annie to come back on like permanently. But I think I don't know, I think she's been busy. She says she's been writing another book or something. But I'm about to just like force her to do it. I don't know, I'll just like beg her or force her to come on. Because this whole solo shit is not working out. There was one idea she had that I did kind of like, but it would be an idea I do like in the future, I guess, if things ever get a little bigger. She was saying that I should go on Craigslist and find like weirdos basically that have like eccentric talents. It sounded like what she was saying was like take advantage of retarded people basically. She was saying like go on Craigslist, say like you're looking for talented people, you know, it could be anything from like musicians to artists to actors. And she was basically saying like find like stupid people that are actually good at it and like take them seriously and bring them on, and then once they get on the stream start talking shit to them and making fun of them. It's like, oh, that's actually a pretty funny idea. Protomax Annie. I'm talking about Annie. I'm saying I'm about to try to force her to just come back on and co-host every week. Just because, yeah, at this point I have nobody. This is also the second time I emailed a couple people if they want to do interviews, and I emailed this one girl, coincidentally an OnlyFans girl. This would have been my first OnlyFans girl finally. And she responded to my first email. Again, like I said, second time this has happened, and she says she's down. I told her, I said, it's a really small channel, but I'm just reaching out. And she said she's down. Send me your stuff, I'll check it out. And then once I sent her the stuff, she hasn't responded. And now I haven't heard from her since Tuesday. So I would imagine she looked and saw how small the channel actually was. Like I would imagine when I said it's small, she thought maybe it's like a couple thousand. And then she looked and she's like, oh, it's not even 1,000. Yeah, fucking right. Almost a 30-minute segment where she can talk about whatever. Well, yeah, I mean, she can talk about whatever if she comes on anyways. I think she's just legitimately been busy. I don't know, she's been writing and shit. I'm about to just force her. I'm about to just fucking beg her. Especially because she knows the stuff I want to do. Like, I have plans. If I ever find a permanent co-host, I have plans that get, like, I don't want to say kind of out there, but plans that, like, borderline involve us. Not acting, but, you know, things that are similar. Like, I have ideas. It's literally, I just need a person. I literally just need another person who's down. But no, I don't think that interview girl is going to be down. I don't think she's going to pull through. I think she looked at the channel and she saw how small it actually is, and she said, oh, wait, never mind. I didn't realize he was talking about, like, under 1,000. I really do think once I hit, like, 1,000, it'll be at least a little easier. Because I see people going on YouTube channels for interviews that have, like, 1,000 subscribers. But I think before you have that K, I think it's really all about the K. Before you have a K in your subscriber count, you know, it's pretty slim pickings when it comes to who will come on for an interview. But yeah, shit, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna get out of here. I might try to actually work on a video about this topic. I don't know. I keep saying I'm gonna work on videos all the time. I'm still working on the 16 candles video. That's taking me fucking forever. I should do some more of that, like tonight or tomorrow. But I don't know. I should do a video on just like the general idea that I was talking about today. Just actually write stuff out. But either way, I don't know. I'll keep trying to find a co-host. I should post about it on the Instagram, just since I have like a few more followers ever since that one post. A couple posts on the Instagram started doing pretty well. And I gained a hefty handful of followers. I'm about to just start going live and titling it like, do you want to co-host this? Like, I have gear for you to co-host the channel. You know, I'll get going on I'll get going on something. Try to make a better thumbnail and make an actual video out of this topic. But all right, yeah, I'm gonna hit the outro. Pronomax, I think you're the last one in chat. Cole, I'm sure you're still around. You're just not in chat, so it's all good. Oh yeah, perfect timing. Anyone else who may be around? You missed it. You missed all the fun. It was pretty uneventful. It was a good little uneventful stream. We talked about whatever. Yeah, I guess the main summary, to sum it all up, conservatives are nerds. They're usually dorks. They're usually nerds, right? Nobody today likes conservatives, but I think they are a necessary presence if we want to have edgy art. I think they are. It's a yin and yang thing, right? It's a yin and yang type of deal. If you want a line to press up against, that's the main thing. Like that's the main thing I could repeat is that conservatives, Christians and conservatives are supposed to act as the line that art presses up against. But today we don't have that. Conservative opinion is not taken seriously at all whatsoever in the mainstream. So it's just kind of a free for all. Everyone's just doing whatever and nothing is edgy anymore. But then, like I was saying earlier too, I think it's kind of too late to go back. We might have evolved past edgy even being a thing. There might just be no such thing as edgy anymore. So who knows? Who knows? Will edgy art ever return? Will things ever be shocking again? I don't know. I guess we'll find out sometime down the line.
And we're all here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning. Sometimes I think I'm drunk, and then I realize I am drunk.